Welcome once again. Welcome, dear viewers. Welcome once again to HTV Africa. HTV is Humanist TV Africa. HTV is Humanist TV Africa. Welcome once again to HTV Africa, Humanist TV Africa, where we begin to spread good news, to spread knowledge, to spread information, to teach, to educate, to learn, and to unlearn. My name is Kato Mukasa. I'm a Ugandan, a lawyer by profession, and of course interested in issues, human rights. I've been a human rights lawyer for some time, but also I'm interested so much into research and of course putting forward information that people basically don't get. We want to defeat mythology, we want to defeat superstition, we want to defeat rumors, we want to defeat hate, we want to defeat conspiracies that are not actually true. This is why we exist. We want to spread news that empower our people, first in Africa and then throughout the world. Now, in the studio today is my brother Mambo from Sierra Leone. And Mambo is from Sierra Leone, Mambo Emmanuel from Sierra Leone. Mambo, great people as we start today's show.
Yes, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on your location. And thank you, Comrade Kato.
Thank you so much, sir. Today in the studio, of course, with me is Dennis Bongole, who is doing the management, the production, and all the photos we are going to see, all the slides we are going to see. It's courtesy of Dennis. We work together. And please, before we start, please do us a favor, if you may, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and Facebook page, Humanist TV Africa, HTV Humanist TV Africa, Facebook page and YouTube page. Please do subscribe, and then we're going to do reaching out to humanity. Today is World AIDS Day, and today we're going to be talking about HIV pandemic, HIV AIDS, HIV especially in Africa, HIV in Africa, the conspiracies, tragedies, and lessons. Today we're talking about HIV. Now, all of you, I don't want to say, I'm going to assume. I know that you know that there is a disease called HIV. It's a virus. There's a virus called HIV. Now, HIV, the human immune virus, affects your cells, affects your blood cells, affects your immunity, and it triggers other diseases to attack you because it renders your immunity weak. Now, when I was growing up in 1985, 1986, 1987, I saw the disastrous effect of HIV in my country, Uganda. I don't know where Mambo was in 86, but I assume that he was still in the ovum of his mother and in the sperm of his father. Is that right?
Yes, it's true.
Yeah, he was still in the ovum of his mother and in the sperm of his father. I was there. I can tell you, for the first time in my life, I was young. In 87, I saw people dying like paupers. I saw people getting neglected. I saw houses getting abandoned. I saw families leaving children behind, parents dying. And I saw an entire household that died. Not one, not two, not three in Uganda, where a mother dies, a father dies, and all the children die. The years 1984 to 1996 were terrible years in Uganda. We saw many children orphaned, and for the first time, there was a new term that came to be known as child-headed families. There's a place called Rakai. Those of you who come from Uganda, Rakai is in the far south of Uganda, and this is where more of the casualties of the HIV were first reported. The year is 1982, and doctors in the US and in France, Gallo and Pasteur Company, Montegna, and others begin telling us that they have discovered a virus, a strain of a virus that actually is responsible for the death of many people in Africa. HIV was killing many people, thousands. I saw people dying. HIV of those days was terrible. I was young, but I was observant. There was a shopkeeper, a neighbor of ours, who became so small, a man, that for the first time as a child, I had people say, Alina Sirimu. Alina Sirimu. Slim is an English word meaning thin, small. People will say Alina Sirimu, meaning that person has HIV, because HIV was called slim, and slim is an English word meaning small, thin. So people could say, oh, you Alina Sirimu. That person has HIV. Slim, because you are small. Someone will be as small as my hand. The bones were bare. The head was bones. The eyes were sunken. The lips were red and were peeling. The skin was like a skin of a frog. They were dilating. Everything bad was on this people. They had sores on the body, all over the body. HIV was terrible that someone would dilate the whole day and the whole night. And the skin was having rashes as if it's rabies of a dog. And the person always had pain all over in the intestines, their wounds, they're everywhere, because HIV those days had no medicine. There was no medicine. Now, it was guesswork. Is it fever? Is it typhoid? Is it a cancer? Is it whatever it was? It was guesswork. And in most cases, people that had HIV had TB, tuberculosis, because HIV moved hand in hand with TB. Remember, those of you know a bit about me, a small bit about me. I've been telling that my mother is a nurse. By the time HIV was breaking up, my mother had her own hospital or health center, which was big enough in a place called Mbirizi along Mbara Road. Now, our home was a mini hospital. That's why I'm able to tell you what I observed. Now, because my mother was a nurse, having worked with government for a long time, and now she had begun her own private health facility, she was admitting many HIV patients who would die right inside our own health facility, because my mother is a medical nurse. Now, between the years 85, 86, 87, up to 90, my mother was treating HIV AIDS patients. And she was courageous. Treating them was terrible because they were dilating, they had rabies, they had sores, big wounds opening up, gaping wounds. And was thin to match the word slim in Uganda, which means small. in English.
Okay.
So HIV, I witnessed it and I said, I must avoid getting this disease. Now, the problem was that in the 80s, they didn't know the cause of HIV, especially because even scientists were still doing guesswork. Even scientists were still doing guesswork. Now, in Africa and in Uganda, where I come from, because my people are too religious, because my people believe in gods, believe in ghosts, believe in miracles, and all the stupidity in the world. My people believe in all the stupidity in the world. They say that HIV was witchcraft. They say that HIV was out of witchcraft, superstition, mythology, that if I was a trader, like our neighbor who was a trader and died of HIV, that the neighbor was the one sending magic, sending bad omen. You know, I want to bring it better in English because in Uganda we call it dogo. Dogo, someone like is bewitching you. You get it? So now, if you are working in the market and it was killing traders more, why? Because traders continue moving. They are not home. It was killing soldiers more. We had just gotten out of a war which had taken 5 years. 95, the war ends. 96, Museveni and his thugs take over power. Now, we have a new government. We are just out of the war, and then a pandemic breaks up, HIV, and soldiers have HIV. Many soldiers are dying. Many business people are dying. Many teachers are dying. Professionals are dying, and there's no medicine. Now, people are saying because Africans must always find who to blame. Africans, once they fail to get an answer, Africans must find who to blame. Now, Africans in my country called it witchcraft. Completely, it was witchcraft. And I was here, oh, so and so, Tom is sick because Mehdi took his wife. And now Mehdi has sent witchcraft to kill Tom. Mehdi is a bad man. Now, if Tom dies and the children die, you see, Mehdi has sent witchcraft to finish off Tom's family. Now, if these guys have been trading as partners, now Ali is killing Mehdi. It was a circus of guesswork. It was a circus of guesswork. And I can tell you, many businesses collapsed, many families collapsed. There was too much divorce. There was too much death in my country. Uganda, anyone can research it. Uganda lost thousands of people to HIV in just 10 years. The disease broke out in 1982, but it was not well pronounced until 1987. Because 82, we are still in war, but the disease was there. People were dying. There was no medicine. The medicine came later in 1990s and was still what we call like treating the symptoms, you know. So HIV became a problem only to be pronounced later on. In the 90s, when we see people like Phil Rutaya, we're going to be seeing the photos coming out to tell people, look, HIV is real. Now people came to realize that it was not dogo, it was not witchcraft, but it was something you get out of sexual intercourse. But before they arrived to that conclusion, many people had been killed. Now here's the thing. 1982, there are scientists who gave us their research. They said that the HIV AIDS was due to a virus that emanates from chimpanzees somewhere in the Congo forests. And Congo is my neighbor. I come from Uganda. Congo is just across the border. Congo is my neighbor. Now they are saying that the virus comes from monkeys, comes from chimpanzees, comes from these animals in the bushes. The question was, how did the virus transmit from the animals to human beings? That was the biggest question to answer. The scientists are saying, look, this virus comes from these animals and then to the people. Now, conspiracies began to form. People said, no, HIV has been formed by people. It has been made, it is man-made. Mark my words, I'm saying conspiracies. People have the right to talk. A disease is killing them, they don't know the cause. They are going to say witchcraft. If you say it's not witchcraft, they say, okay, it's science. Okay, they ask you, why is science? You say, it's from the chimpanzees. It's from the monkeys. You have eaten monkeys, that's why you have HIV. They say, what? Because you have eaten monkeys? They begin doubting it. Others say, you have had sex with monkeys. You have had sex with chimpanzees. They said, no, we don't have sex with animals. Give us a better explanation. They are saying it's coming from animals. Meanwhile, in the US, we hear that there is too much HIV among the homosexuals. You get the story? In the US, we are hearing that there's too much HIV among the what? The homosexuals. And at the same time, in France, in the same time, in the UK, they are saying many homosexuals are having HIV. So the rumor goes and say, look, HIV maybe is a disease which gets homosexuals alone. Because they are sinners, God is punishing them. A theory moves around. God is punishing them because they are having anal sex. They don't have the right way of having sex. They are using their anus to have sex. So God is punishing them. So the question comes, how about the women who are dying also? How about the children who are dying also? How about husbands and wives who are dying also? Are they homosexuals? No. So that one is cancelled. Now, going forward, there are about 2, 3, 4 professors or doctors that say, look, we are the one who have discovered HIV. Dr. Robert Gallo and Montegro and others, Sanus and others, come up with different methodologies to describe HIV. One is in France. Actually, 2 of them are in France, and the other one is an American. They claim to have discovered HIV. And the world sits back and relax and wait. And one of them gives HIV a different name, another one gives HIV a different name. The name is not HIV, by the way. One calls it LAVI, another one calls a different name. Now, later on, they fight over who owns the patent. You are following Mambu, the story of HIV. Yes. The year is 86. 86, these 2 medical scientists who are researchers claim to have discovered a disease which was from monkeys and chimpanzees of Congo. Now, for them, they tell us that we have researched and we have discovered that there is a disease called, one called LAV, others gives it a different name. Now, I think the other name for clarity that was given to it was HTLV3. Gallo called it HTLV3, yet Sinus and Montagna called it LAV. These are abbreviations. Now, when they go for research, it is discovered that, look, all these guys actually are talking about the same thing. That Robert Gallo, what is describing as HTLV3 is the same virus which Montegna and his colleague Sanus Barre are describing as LAV. They are basically talking about the same thing. Now, they have a war of who has invented, who has discovered. Let us cancel the word invent. Let's say who has discovered HIV. Now, listen, there's a difference between inventing and discovering. If I come to say and say, I've discovered a mountain, I'm not the maker of the mountain. I've just discovered a mountain. Okay? Now, these guys say we have discovered HIV. Now we know the root cause. It's a virus. They explain their kind of formations and findings. 1986, they fight over who owns the patent. Now, in law, if I discover something and I want to say to the public, I patent it, it means that I go ahead and own its rights. These two, one is a French company, another is an American company, fight over HIV patent rights. They go to court. Later on, it's agreed that the two should share money out of their discovery. They should share rights. And they agree, 1986, to have a name, HIV. They get part of the name from Garo, part of the name from Bare and Montegana, and then they combine it to make HIV. Because one had called it HTLV, other than had called it LAV. So they combine HIV from the two researchers. These are two different companies. One is in France, another one is in the US. They are fighting over who owns the patent. The question comes, a virus is made. Scientists say no. Scientists will say no. You cannot make a virus. But can you improve on a virus? Because the question is, how do you patent something you have not made? I'm a lawyer. I read patents up to master's level. And I've been asking a question. How do you patent something you have not invented? Because when you say that a virus is not man-made, is not natural, I agree. Scientifically, you are right. You cannot make a virus. Now the question comes, how then do you patent it? And why do you patent it? Ebola was patented, and they say it came from my country. Zika was patented, and they say it came from my country. HIV/AIDS, part of it, not all, part of it was patented. So the question I've been asking as a lawyer, not as a scientist, has been, can you patent something that is not man-made, that is natural? I've been asking this question as a lawyer who read international law, who read patents law, which tells me you must have made it. Now the answer is, from my research, that unless you improve on it, you get it. I have discovered a mountain. Let me say that it's natural, man-made. It's not man-made, it's natural. But if I go to this mountain and I build something on it, okay, I put there stairs, I put a few things on the mountain. It means that I've improved on the mountain, therefore I can patent the mountain. I'm giving an example, and for the viewers to understand legally.
Yes, that's
why.
That's very.
You get it? Legally, why you cannot patent a virus, but if you improve on it, you can therefore patent the improvement. I'm making it easier for everyone to follow. Because as a lawyer who was studying patent rights at master's level, I was like, how do you patent a natural thing unless you have made it? It was a big question I was asking myself, unless you have made it. So the answer came, you must have improved on it. Now, the question is, why would you improve on HIV? Why would you make improvements on Ebola? What's the use of improving on it? To patent it? And when you patent it, who benefits? You and your company. For what benefit? I leave it to you, Mambo. You will answer later on.
Yes, yes.
Think about these questions. Think about this what? Because if a disease is killing people, Mambo, why do you need to patent it? I've told you, I've agreed with scientists that it's not man-made, it's natural. It's not man-made. I've agreed with you as a scientist. Because me, I'm a human, I still believe in science. But I ask questions. Why then do you patent it? Why do you go ahead and patent Ebola, the National Council of Disease Control? Why do you go ahead and patent HIV? They are telling you that we are patenting it because we want to do further research. We are patenting it because we want to control the study on it. We want to control medicines on it. You get the trick? Now, here we are. And I'm asking the same questions to the viewers. I've told you that naturally, a virus cannot be man-made. I agree. I agree. The question has been, can you patent a natural phenomenon? Can you patent a natural thing? And why? I've answered a part of it, and I'm leaving it to the viewers to think through why dangerous diseases are patented. In conclusion, HIV/AIDS has killed over 90 million people. Majority of the people killed are in my continent, Africa. Why? Is the question. Today, as I speak, over 40 million people have HIV. 90% of the sick people are in Africa.
Yes.
Over, as I speak today, 40 million people have HIV. But 90% of those people are in Africa. And the category of people who have HIV are between 15 to 49 years. Mark those years. Between 15 years to 49 years are the most hit category of people with HIV. And 80% of the sick people of HIV, they are saying about 37 millions of people of HIV are actually adults, not children. It also tells you about behavior. Now, why? Because medicine has come that a sick woman, sick in quotes, an HIV-infected woman can actually produce a negative baby. You get it? Now, that's why now we have less children with HIV thanks to science. I trust science. Thanks to science, that we have less people getting infected with HIV today than yesterday. That it has killed over 90 million people, but at least now the death rate is decreasing. In fact, HIV is no longer the #1 killer of people in Africa. People go research. It is the mosquitoes. It is the fevers. But when you hear people say, oh, HIV in Africa, HIV is not killing more people in Africa anymore. No way. There are other killers. So, as I conclude on that, I want to invite you, Mambo, before I go into slides, to have your say on this thing called HIV. There have been propaganda, which I'm going to show you. There have been conspiracies. People think that HIV was manufactured, which I have refused to accept, because I've explained to you the difference between discovery and improvement. I've given an example of the mountain, which is natural made, and I've told that you cannot invent a virus. You cannot make a virus. At least from the science I've read. Viruses cannot be man-made. Though we have heard about biological warfare and all that stuff, they may be improved upon, but they must have existed. This is the science I'm getting. You cannot say that, oh, I've made, say, corona virus. It must have existed somewhere, but you may make improvements on it. You get my point? So the question is, why do you make these improvements on something that is going to kill people? Because there it becomes a biological weapon of mass destruction. Because if a virus has been like HIV, they said the strain has been there for a long time, like Corona, it has been there for a long time. Then why do you make improvements on it? Why do you make improvements on this? Because when you make improvements, then you patent it. Then it kills thousands and millions of people. So why do you, again, go ahead and make adjustments on this virus? You make it more lethal, you make it more dangerous. So HIV is a big story. Many of us have been facing, many of us have been reading about, many of us have survived, I should say, and many people have been victims of the same. Now, Dennis, take us through the slides and we see what we have researched. We're talking about HIV in Africa, conspiracies, tragedies, and lessons learned. Yeah, World AIDS Day is World AIDS Day, 1st December 2023. And we align with partners, such as those ones there that are fighting HIV, especially among refugees, asylum seekers, displaced people living with HIV, and many others. Continue, please. Let's continue. Mom will come in later. The origins of HIV, where did HIV come from? They are saying that the HIV infection in humans came from a type of chimpanzee in Central Africa. Studies show that HIV may have jumped from chimpanzees to humans as far back as the late 1800s. I always ask that question, may have jumped as far as 1800s. The chimpanzee version of the virus is called simian immunodeficiency virus. I'm giving the origins from my research. Let's continue, please. They are saying these animals, the chimpanzees, that actually gave us HIV. That's what the scientists are saying. The origins of HIV and who invented the HIV virus? This is the question I've been researching about. Look, Montagna was best known for his 1983 discovery of the human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, which has been identified as the cause of HIV or AIDS. This discovery led directly to the development of a test for detecting the presence of HIV in blood samples. Then let's continue. Thank you very much. Yeah, let us look at the guy behind the discovery of HIV. Roch Montagna. This guy is a French guy, born on August 18th, my own day. This guy will share the same date of birth, surprisingly. Born on 18th August 1932. We share the same birthday, by the way, with Roch Montagna, the guy behind the discovery of the strain called HIV, and he died 8th February 2022. He was aged 89. That's the guy who was a professor, who was a researcher, was a great, great guy. University of Polytechnic was known more for co-discovery of HIV. Remember, this guy worked with his friend. He worked with his friend to discover this virus. He worked with Barry Sinos. He worked with Barry Sinos, and he won a Nobel Prize in psychology or medicine, having discovered that HIV virus. Now, another man behind the discovery of HIV is a man called Dr. Robert Gallo. Robert Gallo was born in 1937. He still lives, I think, according to research, he's 86 years. Now, Gallo is the director and co-founder of the Institute of Human Virology, IHV, at the University of Maryland School of Medicine in Baltimore, Maryland, established in 1996 in a partnership including the state of Maryland and the city of Baltimore. In November 2011, Gallo was named the first Homer and Martha Goldix Distinguished Professor in Medicine. Gallo is also co-founder of biotechnology company Propectus Biosciences Incorporated and co-founder and scientific director of the Global Virus Network. You see, the guy is having companies. And of course, it comes with lots of money. Now, origins of HIV, the conspiracies. Now, here are the conspiracies. People have been saying that CIA made HIV. This is what I've researched. Now, since the Center of Disease Control and Prevention first reported the HIV/AIDS epidemic in 1981, rumors have persisted that the deadly virus was created by the CIA. CIA is an American intelligence agency to wipe out homosexuals and African Americans. Even today, the conspiracy theory has a number of high-profile believers. For example, South African President Thabo Mbeki once taunted the theory, disputing scientific claims that the virus came from Africa and accusing the US government for manufacturing the disease in military labs. You can imagine the president of South Africa, Thabo Mbeki, said that HIV was made by the Americans in their labs to kill who? Homosexuals and African Americans. That was Thabo Mbeki. Now, there was also a Nobel Prize winner, peace winner called Wangari Maathai from Kenya, used the international spotlight to support the theory as well. Also said that HIV was actually made by these Americans. These are conspiracy theories I'm sharing with you. Now, others insist that the government deliberately injected gay men with the virus during 1978 hepatitis B experiments in New York and San Francisco and Los Angeles. Still others point to Richard Nixon, who combined the US Army's biowarfare department with the National Cancer Institute in 1971. Mark those years, mark the names. Nixon of America is being blamed for being behind the making of the virus, the injecting it into the human beings. Because I've been asking a question, Dennis, don't move a bit. I've been asking a question. If it was found in animals, we agree, okay? We are going to follow the scientists. How did it jump from the chimpanzees to the humans? I always ask that question. No one answers it. Now, the conspiracy theorists are saying, no, it was there. But these doctors get it with the support of Americans and then inject it into the gay people, inject it into African Americans. They wanted to spread. This is what the theorists, the conspiracy theorists say. Now, as a viewer, I want you to make 1 and 2 and make your own conclusions. Now, though the discoveries of HIV, Dr. Robert Garrow of National Cancer Institute and Dr. Luke of the Pasteur Institute in Paris don't agree on its origins. Even the scientists don't agree on its origins. Most members of the scientific community believe that the virus jumped from monkeys to humans sometime during the 1920s. The question comes, how did it jump? I've been asking this question and I repeat it here. How did HIV jump from these monkeys, from these chimpanzees to humans? Can you please explain how it jumped? Because people are saying, yet it existed, yes. Yet you knew it was there, yes. But you got it from these animals, improved on it, and injected it to the gay people, and injected it to African Americans. This is what the theorists are saying. Until when you explain how it jumped from animals to humans, people are still going to tell you, Dennis, leave those fetus there. I want to explain the things clearly. People are going to still put it on American government, on Nixon, the president of America. People are going to put it to you and you American government that you actually improved on HIV and you in fact injected it to homosexuals in America and African Americans. The question we have failed to answer, which I want the viewers to answer, is how did HIV jump from the animals to the humans? Once we answer that, we shall be squared. Thabo Mbeki says that. Martha Wangari says that. Richard Nixon is the man being blamed behind the manufacturing of HIV. Let me revise my word. Behind the jumping of HIV from animals to human beings. People have been asking a question. Yes, it did exist in animals. How did it jump from monkeys, from chimpanzees to humans? Did man have sex with humans, with chimpanzees, with monkeys? Do you want to tell us that man ate raw meat? Please explain. People have been eating meat without getting HIV. Explain how the virus jump started. That's why this theory comes out as a conspiracy theory. If there are facts in it, me and you must research. But they are putting it on Nixon and the American government. Nixon was the 37th president of the United States. Who is putting it to him? A president of South Africa, Thabo Mbeki, said Nixon and others, a president of a country, plus a Nobel Prize winner, Wangari Maathai Maathai, put it on the American government for jump-starting a virus using CIA to jump-start it from the monkeys, from the chimpanzees into human beings. Once they answer that, and they have by the failed to answer it, they have failed to tell us the origins. Even scientists who found it, who said discovered it, Garo and Montigina, didn't agree on the genesis. So the question has been always, how did it jump start from Central Africa, Congo, to human beings in America? Once we answer that, we shall be settled. Otherwise, the conspiracy will continue. Let's continue with the slides, please. Yes, we see stereotype among the victims of people that actually claimed to have HIV. Dennis, take me back a bit to Montegina and Garo. I won't talk about them briefly. There's something I forgot to talk about them briefly because I want to use this as an educational kind of talk show. Take me back to Garo, a photo of Garo and Montegina. I want to talk something about them. Garo and Montegina. That photo you had put there, that picture of Garo and Montegina. Take me back a bit there. Yes. Now, listen to this. Very interesting. Now, there was a war between these two people. Montegina had a company which he formed in 1983. A company he formed with his friend. His friend is called Barry Sinos. These are doctors. These are medical doctors. Montegina is a medical doctor, Montegina, and his team. The institute was called Pasteur Institute in Paris, which is Paris in France. Now, this guy said that they did the science and the research and discovered HIV-1 and then cultured it. Listen to that. They cultured it to T cells from a lymph node called biopsy, and they got this lymph node from a 33-year-old homosexual French patient. This is from their own research, which I read, and I'm presenting it here on TV. Montegina says that HIV, the virus he got, was from a homosexual who was the patient, a 33-year-old homosexual. The question has been, how did a homosexual in France get the disease? Which Montegina discovered from his limbs. And 33-year-old French patient had this strain, which later on, this guy called LAV. Then leave it there for a minute. I want to explain this. Now, from this research, Montegina and Barry were given a Nobel Prize medal from their research. But there was another man. Remember that Montegina and Barry called their own discovery lymph demonopathy associated virus. Remember, it was never called HIV at first. It was called LAV. Lymph from the lymph. You got it from lymph demonopathy associated virus, LAV. That's what Montegina's company, which is called Pasteur Institute in France, called it. And the year is 1983. We are asking ourselves the question, how did the French homosexual get a virus from the chimpanzees in Central Africa? It's the question we've been asking, and they failed to explain it. Now, then take me to another photo of Garo. I talk about Garo briefly. Because today we want to talk about HIV. Now, Garo, the man you see on the screen, who lives today, born 23rd March 1937, 86 years today, claimed to have discovered HIV too. At the same time, Monteguna in France claimed it. We have two professors. One is in America, another is in France. All of them are saying, we have discovered HIV. All of them have companies. And they are saying, we have discovered. One is in America, another one is in France. Now, the one in America was Garo, named this discovery HTLV 3, HTLV minus 3. Yet, remember, Barre and Monteguna, the French guys, named it LAV. Now, there was a war on who had owned it. Now, it happened that Barre had accessed laboratories in which Monteguna and the company had sent their samples in the US. They went to court. Monteguna was saying, look, it's the French guys who discovered it first. Yet, Garo was saying, I've been writing about this for the last 1 year. 82, I've been writing about HIV. I discovered it. These guys were fighting for who has discovered it. They go to court, and the year is 1986. Court says, okay, you guys merge it and have a common name. A common name is got HIV. Number two, share the proceeds. Share the proceeds. Garo was awarded the award called the Laker Award for discovering of HIV. The award is called the Laker Award. It was given to him in 1986. At the same time, Monteguna was also given the Nobel Prize of Science and Medicine for discovering HIV. But these two guys were told to share the proceeds of the patent, and never stopped there. It never stopped there. Look at the companies benefiting out of this. Then leave the photo there for some time so that we can explain this one properly. Now, listen to this. There's a company called Gilead Company. It's called Gilead Sciences. This company is in the USA. This company owns patent of HIV. Another company called an NGO organization, it's called Centers for Disease Control for Prevention on HIV, also has rights on these patents. Now, a company like Gilead Sciences in the US earns over US billions, 20 US billions on only one drug called Truvada since 2012. Now, the question is HIV an industry that makes money? The answer is yes. Companies, I've just given you figures you can go and search, such as Gilead Sciences, which is based in the US, earns 20 billion US dollars since 2012 out of HIV drugs, and only one string of drugs is called Truvada. The question is, if a company is earning this much money, are they interested in earning the virus? In actually having a disease solved? Maybe yes. Or prolonging its continuing is going to earn them more money. I put this question before you to think about it. Now, there's a doctor called Dr. Jerome Holtz behind the question of AZT. Those of you who have HIV, not this medicine, AZT, azidotherapy, azidothiamidine. Dr. Jerome Holtz, HORWTZ, that's the name. And now the discovery of Truvada and being patented by Gilead Sciences expired in 2020. The day was 30th September 2020. Which company took over after expiring of the patent? The new company is called Teva Pharmaceuticals Industries Limited now has exclusive patent rights. Here is the HIV patent number, US 44644658. HIV patent number, US 44644658. Also, another HIV patent number is USA patent 5676977. I'm giving you research, I'm giving you data to go and verify. Are there people who own the patent of HIV? The answer is yes. The question is why? Viruses can only be patented if they are man-made. That is the question. That's the question I've been making. That you can only patent a virus if it's man-made. From a legal perspective, as a lawyer, when something is not man-made, you cannot patent it. That's the law of patent I learned in law school. Now, unless you improve on it, unless you make adjustments on it, then it's now back to me. Unless you improve on it, unless you make adjustments on it, that's how you can patent it. But without that, you cannot patent something you haven't improved upon. You cannot patent something you haven't made. That's the law I studied the master's level, patent law. I can only patent something I have made or made adjustments. If something is natural made, mambo, you cannot patent it. Lastly, Dennis, I want to take it to Mambo. Mambo, I've made a summary of everything. I've talked about conspiracies. I've talked about effect of HIV in Africa from my observations. And of course, as a follower of science, I've said that you cannot patent something which is natural. I've made it clear. No one should blame me. I've said that if something is natural, you cannot patent it. Therefore, a virus can never be patented. The question is, how then do you patent HIV if it's not man-made? And I've explained partly how you can, unless you make improvements on it. That's when you can patent it. Over to you and the viewers. Mambo.
Yes, I, to be honest, I learned a lot from all what you've said. Like in my country, Sierra Leone, HIV was first discovered in 1987, and the case was first. I started with 10 people, and they were commercial sex workers. So, and now as I'm talking to you, according to the last report, we have about 76,000 people living in Sierra Leone with HIV, and 66,000 are people are age around 15 above, and the 10,000 is around 0 to 14 years. So, like you said, the sickness is actually among young people. Is among young people, like from 15 downwards, from 15, 20, 30. So when we are saying is actually among young people, I was just nodding my head. I say yes, this is actually true, because in fact the belief, like in my country, you hardly see people believe that there is actually HIV, and this is why I always see that it is because they don't believe it. That is why they are getting in contact with it. Because if I don't believe it, there is no preventive measure I will take about it. If I don't believe anything, I will not prevent. I will not even think about preventing it, because I don't believe. Like I don't believe in religion, so I don't even care how it works or how it's going. So that is just what I'm saying. Because in my country, they actually don't believe it. In fact, when Ebola breaks out in Sierra Leone in 2014, a lot of people did not believe it. They said, "Oh, the government wants to go and take money from the Europeans." That is why they say there's a sickness called Ebola. Until the death number actually increased, with speed, before they believe it. Like somebody will say, "Oh, This one have Ebola today. Before you remember, in the next 3 days, that one is dead. Like a whole village, everybody around 4,000 people died in the whole region before they actually believe. So up till now, people do not actually believe that there is HIV. And again, you said another thing that when you, you when you say you discover a mountain, it's because you've done something to improve
Mm,
on that mountain. That is
mm,
when they say you've discovered it. Like
mm,
you build a house, and then people say, okay, let me go and see that mountain that they said uh, uh, was, I mean, was discovered by Emmanuel. It is
mm.
because I have done something there that attracts people to even go to that, I mean, around that area to see what is actually. That is when they say you've discovered something. So you
Yeah, you have
saying that
invented, you have patented. I was using the word patented.
yes, so like
Mm,
everything you said is actually true. Like the only issue my country is actually facing is because the belief. And up to today, even when
mm.
we have the statistics now is around 76,000 people, I mean, living with HIV, they still have that concept that because those that they say this person have HIV is because they are going for supply medicine, maybe they give them food, maybe they give them money at the end of the month. That is why people are accepting that, okay, I have HIV, okay, there's HIV, okay, this, or the doctors are getting money out of it, which I know that actually HIV is actually generating a whole lot of money. And my other question was, will it ever end? Will there be an end to it? Because I remember the last time they were saying COVID-19 will not actually disappear totally, but rather we will learn to live with it like we are living with HIV. It means there is no end. It means it's going to exist for as far as it will exist. So this is what I am, that is my greatest question. Will it ever end? Because people are making money, so it will not end. It is a source of living for a lot of people. It is a source of, it is a work. People are working on it. They are improving on it. So it will not end. And like your statistics, like the when you say 90% are Africans, you hardly heard about European countries being suffering from HIV, but rather Africa. So why Africa? Why all these things in Africa? Ebola, Africa. COVID-19, okay, it started in Europe and then it later ended in Africa. HIV, mainly in Africa. Why Africa? And then you see our people do not even believe in these things. Even when it is killing us, even when the sickness is just, the number is just rising from one to another, it's just rising, but we still do not believe. So this is Africa for us. So Kato, in all what you've said, I've learned a lot, and I also have a whole lot of questions. And one of these questions is, when will it end? Will it ever end? If yes, when? And how will our people, how can we actually manage for people to know that it actually exists? These are questions that I'm still
Thank
thinking
you.
about.
Thank you, my
Yes.
brother. We have only 2 minutes left. I should answer your questions in one way. One,
Yeah.
HIV will be managed because right now it is under control. I've told you the first sick person I saw, and I've told you my mother owned a clinic, a big clinic, and my mother treated HIV patients because my mother is a medical nurse. So I saw the serious HIV, and now I'm seeing the mild HIV. So I have hope as a science student, as a humanist, that HIV will be defeated. It will end. Only when companies that make money out of it have come to terms to end it.
Okay. Okay.
Because they have the medicine to do the ending. This is my opinion. They have the medicine if they can manage it, if you can, do you know you can live with the HIV for 50 years?
Yes.
I know a person in my village who is about 50 years. She has been with HIV for over 35 years. I know, I would have even mentioned her name. All of us gave up on her. Her husband was one of the first victims of HIV in 1984. She's still living, and she goes to the AIDS support center every month. Answer: HIV can be defeated. Answer: a medicine can be found. It will be found when the companies wish so. The day they will say, we want to release it, we are now satisfied with the money we are making, because I think HIV is a money-making venture. Take it from me, leave it, take it, leave it. People earn from it. It's an industry. The day they will get satisfied and improve on another virus and improve and get a better way of earning money. Because for me, I'm not a capitalist. I always think that people want to make money out of all our miseries and all this kind of thing. And until they answer my questions, how it jumped from a chimpanzee to homosexuals, and how and why they improved on it, then I will know it was not a money-making venture. Now, Mambu, you are going to conclude this show. Conclude it in 2 minutes because we're out of time.
Yes, okay. I was yes, like you said, it will actually end when they are ready to end it. And again, saying that it moves from chimpanzee to homosexual, according to what they said. That was just the same they were saying about Ebola also. That Ebola is caused by monkeys. So again, that question also goes to Ebola. How did it move from the monkeys to the human? How did human contacted it? Because you cannot eat it raw. When you capture a monkey, you have to prepare it, and it's going through a process. So if there is anything in it, I think it will first it will kill it. Because it's going through fire, water, hot water, and all. Again, like you said, it will actually end when the company say, okay, now we are full. We don't want to eat money again on it. And it's actually generating money. Like today, World AIDS Day, you see the amount of money that was spent in celebrating or commemorating World AIDS Day. It's a whole lot of money. And these are all things that is actually putting us Africa behind. These are all burden on Africa. So I want to end there and also say that I actually learned a lot. I actually learned a lot about HIV today. Thank you.
Thank you. I came here to share, to teach, to learn and unlearn. I'm happy that we have learned something. I want to say, please, all of you, use protectors. Don't go without protection. HIV exists and actually it kills. I'm very happy to be HIV negative, but please keep it safe. Mambu and everyone, keep it safe. Avoid HIV. HIV exists and HIV kills because HIV is a money-making venture. Please avoid getting it. Stay well, keep it alive, and keep it positive. See you in the next one.